All right, well, before we dive into pedal world, can we just hear the amp, just straight amp?
Oh, without any distortion? Because I always have like an always-on pedal. That's part of the thing.
If it's always on, I guess let's start.
It's loud as hell.
It's loud as hell, but it sounds really good. That's a very American sounding tone you got.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's crazy cool.
Born in Detroit. So.
What's the always on pedal?
It's the ZVEX Double Rock.
Is it a box of rock with two?
It's basically 2 box of rocks in one, and I have both are set to box like what do they call it? The distortron thing. So I have one that I use for the Fenders, and then one I'm using for the Gibson, where I just need a little more treble.
Right.
So sometimes I'll set it to a boost, but on this I've been just using it as just like an A and a B for different guitars. So just different outputs and stuff.
Oh, crazy. That's a good way to do
that. Totally.
Yeah.
So, and the cool thing is like I can, the board's easy to travel with. I can get this backline anywhere if I'm doing we're doing like a one-off or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean it's cool. Like anytime I try going to like try some other like boutique thing or whatever, I just come back to this. I'm just like, this is just cool. It's classic.
And it looks
good.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Speaking of boards, that really sucker is clean. Did you build that?
Thanks. I did not. My friends at Eastside Music Supply here in Nashville, in East Nashville, built it.
These guys are great. Killer shop. If you guys
are
in Nashville,
check them out. Highly recommend going there if you like cool things. Yeah. Cool. It's been a solid board. We went through a couple of iterations before we got to this, but now it's in a really good spot.
Cool.
So.
All right, I guess walk me through your chain, and we'll take a listen to these bad boys.
Okay. So basically, so at the end of the chain is the double rock. So basically, I wanted it to act like it was part of the amp.
Sure.
So it's always on. Like, I rarely and the thing about it, I can control it with dynamics pretty well. Like, if I roll the volume off a little bit, it cleans up. I don't like pristine cleans, so I always like a little bit of grit. That seems to work out really well, especially in this band, but most things I do, it's kind of how I roll. To start, I go into these fuzz pedals, and I went through a lot of fuzz neurosis before I arrived.
Oh, it's a wormhole, my man.
Yeah, it sucks. I still like in the middle of a show, I'll be like, oh, maybe I'll get this one. I'll try this tomorrow or something, But so the first one is the Hoof Reaper, which is made by Earthquaker.
Yeah.
And it's a hoof and then a tone reaper and octave up, the Octavia, the tentacle, I think they call it. So that's like sort of my, That's my main fuzz that I use on leads and stuff.
Dude, that works great with
It's cool, right? Yeah,
really
They stack. That's the thing about it. Everything stacks very nicely together. So the other side is the hoof, which is more big muff-ish. So sometimes I'll do cool shit where I add the octave up, and it's monophonic, so it just does this. So I can do my
slightly gated, but it has that thing.
So it helps me do my best Hendrix ripoff.
Nice.
That's what most of these help me do. This is an Analog Man BC 183, which I think Analog Man makes the best fuzzes.
See, there's a lot.
I have a germanium one. I have a ton of them. My only issue in this setup right now is I feel like it needs a little more volume. Like you see, I have them pegged. So
that's weird.
I kind of want to see if I can get it modded to add more volume. I need some more.
Does you feel like it's when you turn it on, it sucks your?
It's not. It's just it's just not sitting on top. The way I have everything else gain staged works great, and then when I kick on the fuzz, it doesn't get me over the hump quite as well. But just tonally, it's sick.
Yeah, it sounds like your amp
sounds
is
awesome, man.
working. Yeah, that's awesome.
But you can tell it was a lot quieter than just the other ones that I turned on. So from there, I go to the Dunes, which is Earthquaker's take on a tube screamer. I always, for years, my setup was a Tele, an old 808, and just a 65 twin reverb. And then as I got more and more into pedals, obviously then, you know, this happens. But I love a tube screamer. I think a tube screamer in the Fender world of stuff is great.
Sits good, huh?
But, you know, I've learned that, like, different rooms have different sort of needs. So, like, I really like that you can take the diode out on here. Actually, I think I have it set to where I don't have the diode in. And then, you know, you can add treble if you need it, or you can make it, like, more full range sounding where it doesn't have the mid hump. It's more like the bass boost.
Sure.
So it just depends on the room, but and I just have it's almost like a clean boost at this point.
Right,
like it's just giving me a little bit of like just kind of goosing this a little bit more.
If you roll it back, can it help you boost up that analog, man? Like, do you ever click those on together?
I have done them both together.
Just to get a little volume out of it. Yeah.
But then I always forget to turn one off.
So you're playing.